Hello everybody, welcome to the Cheryl Technology channel. I'm your host Chris, and I'm back with another video, and in this one we're going to be looking at Untangle again, Arista Untangle, and we're basically going to look at the filtering options, the content filtering options, another part of my content filtering series. I'm coming off of a cold. Okay, so basically within Untangle, they use application, right? So these are a lot of the applications they have. They have threat prevention, which costs more money, blah, blah, blah. Intrusion prevention, which I believe also costs more money. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that. But basically, you just install the apps and they run as individual apps. Now, the best thing about this is the web filter. So the web filter is basically where you can filter things by block site, by sites, by clients, by rules, but I like to use the categories filter. Now, the categories filter will be like, you can filter for nudity, or you can just type whatever you want. Let's see, I don't know, violent? See? And you can filter that way in Untangle, and it will block anything that has to do that's categorized as that particular category. Now, in my last video on this kind of stuff, my very first video on this, I kind of went through how it's impossible to block with just one app. That's where this comes in. So I am using this, specifically Untangle. I'm using it in conjunction with two other apps to help block everything. And the way I'm doing that is with Family Link. Now, Google Family Link. Now, I will get into that in another video, but I'm going to run through some more stuff in Untangle, and my wife is using Screen Time for the Apple stuff. Now, I know some of you are going to hate saying this, but I'm considering getting rid of all the Apple phones and going with Google strictly so that I can control things a lot easier, because it is really difficult for me to control things, and my wife has no clue how to do any. It's just easier if everything's under one roof. Now, the other one is the application control. This is another application used, and you can literally type whatever as you can see, you could literally block anything, but it's easier if you just block over in the web filter, go into the categories, and then we type games. Oops. If we type in games, block anything, see, and then there's one section for games instead of having to go through however many that was. There's a ton of them in there for games. Cannot type. So, you can see there's a ton of different sites. Some of you may be asking, Chris, how do we get this? Now, if you want me to do a video on this, I can, but there are hundreds of videos on YouTube about this where you're taking an old computer, buying a network card, a network interface card. We'll just go look at this. This particular server, just so you know, is running on a Dell R710. Let's go look at it. Now, this server is a enterprise level server, old as crap. I got mine for $100 from our local hospital. They were getting rid of them. Ooh, I'll take one. So I spent $100 and got this server, and it's been running for 2 years now, probably. Now, the server is old and it's not very efficient anymore, but at the same time, for $100, I'm glad to do it. So basically what you could do is you could literally use like a Dell Optiplex. Let's go to eBay. That way we can look at this together, and I can kind of show y'all exactly what, let's see, old computer, let's see, Dell Optiplex. Because you could literally build this for very cheap if you do it right. $132 right here. And 8 gig of RAM is more than enough. That SSD is more than enough. All you would need to do, and it has Wi-Fi, which you're not going to need that, but literally you could buy this machine, buy a low profile card. So let's just do that. Let's look at this. So let's go in here and we'll look at dual port NIC, low profile. Look at that right there. Boom. $59. So for however much that was for the computer, $132 for the computer plus the cost of this, for $200, you have a working firewall for $200. Now, if y'all need me to go through and do a video on this, that's going to be a little difficult. I would like to, but I don't actually have a computer that I can use for this. It is very simplistic to do this, but what you really need to know is that you need a computer that can handle the load. An 8 gig of RAM, 4-core processor can handle Untangle pretty easily. And I mean, you can, like if I go back to the dashboard, you can see the CPU load. It's like nothing. It's like absolutely nothing. Lit is the RAM. It's using 25% of the RAM, 3.41 gig. So it's using less than 4 gig of RAM. So if you got 8 gig and you get the firewall gets under a heavy load, it'll still be able to do the work. Now, what I can probably do is link videos in the description to other videos where there are people who know what I know what I'm doing, but I don't have the hardware. There's other people who have videos for this kind of stuff. So I'll link a couple down in the description so that y'all can see exactly how to do this, because this, in my opinion, is the best way to do this. Because if you're going to try to set up a wireless router, it's doing like 4 jobs, and it doesn't even have the power to do one very well. So I would recommend that you buy a computer and do it that way. Make sure you update the BIOS before you wipe anything so that the BIOS is up to date. So basically that's how you do that. And then within this application, there are other things you can do. So like the policy manager is a good example. So you can see right here, I have one for my wife's Mac Mini. Now, the reason I did this is because I am blocking in the content filter, I am blocking a lot of things that she needs to get access to, like swimsuits. She sells them. Well, I've got that blocked. So basically what happened is she didn't even tell me about it till the other day, and I found out she was doing it within a minute. I had everything unblocked. And the way I did it was I went in here and I created a virtual policy. And this virtual policy, I created a reservation for her IP address for her Mac Mini, and I tied it directly in through the rules section here. See right here. I tied it directly into that IP address so that it says, hey, when you see this IP address, apply this policy. That way, I can block everything I want. And what I basically did was I took all of these policies, you can see it, these individual apps, and these are technically called kind of rack. It's like having a separate server on each rack, but running on the same one. It's like virtual rack. So basically, you go in here and type, say, hey, I want to do this, 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 and this. It still blocks things that are bad, but it doesn't have the policies that apply default policy, which are like blocking pornography, swimsuit, all that kind of stuff, the VPNs internally. It doesn't block any of that on this new policy, but hers is the only device that can do that because that's what I said. So that's how that works. Now, there are other ways to block things. For instance, the firewall will do. So you can see right here. Here's a good example. So let me go in here. I'm going to edit this one. So if you look, geo-blocking. So geo-blocking is geographical location. Now, if you're a concerned parent and you have heard some of the crap going on in China, you know that China has some bad crap starting to tighten their reins on their people. Well, I have it set to where any traffic that is geo-located to China, it blocks it. This machine has 12 gig of RAM, but it's really not that bad. So remember, everybody, if you're wanting to do this and you don't know how, I'm going to link a couple videos in the description, because my channel is all about teaching you how to do certain things. Now, this is a very important skill to have. As your kids get older, I don't want you to say, I don't know. Because at this point in history, every second, there is no excuse for not knowing. There is so much information on the internet, on YouTube about how to do and I just gave you more information. So this is basically how you do it. You start with a computer like this, a regular desktop. You put a network interface card in it, one of these, and you literally put one of these in there. See, here's one for $15. I would recommend, though, going with an Intel-based. I would go with an Intel-based NIC because they're the most reliable, and their compatibility is very, very good with a lot of different brands, especially Dell. So I want y'all to really think about this and think about how can I do these things. If you have questions, feel free. I absolutely encourage you to go down in the comments and reach out to me and just ask me questions, because I want you to learn. I want you to get better at things. I want you to have a good time. I want you to have fun learning. This stuff is very fun, and I just want you to have fun with it. So That's all the video. In the next video, we will look at Family Link a little bit and how Family Link kind of works. And then maybe I'll steal my wife's iPad and look at screen time a little bit too. And I'll do screen recordings of all that junk. Thank y'all for watching. And until the next video, I love each and every one of you, and I hope that you have a great day. Thank you for watching. Peace, everybody.